Today we're diving into a hot topic, plugins versus analog hardware. Specifically, why plugins, for all their convenience, will always fall short of the organic magic of analog, especially when it comes to voiceover.
You're listening to The Dangerous Mind of Mark Yoshimoto Nemcoff. No excuses, no BS, no pants.
Welcome back to the Microphone Playboy. You're listening to me through the Loudon Atlantis, going through the SPL, Channel 1 Mark III. Now let's start with this. The human ear is like a truth detector. It can sense when something feels fake, the same way your eyes know when CGI in a movie just doesn't look right. Think of the uncanny valley. You might not be able to articulate why something feels off, but you feel it. That's because our brains are wired to detect subtle inconsistencies. It's the same with sound. Plugins at their core are algorithms. They apply the same mathematical formula to every wavelength, treating each sound the same way: predictable, uniform, and ultimately artificial. But analog thrives on chaos. You know, like how Jeff Goldblum's character explains in Jurassic Park, how a single drop of water on the back of your hand may roll off differently every time due to things like blood flow, the hair on the back of your hand, or the texture of your skin. This is known as chaos theory, and why the nature of life is vastly unpredictable, and why no two snowflakes are alike. And it's also why analog gear seems to breathe. It responds to sound organically, introducing tiny unpredictable variations that mimic the randomness of life itself. These imperfections aren't flaws. They're what makes sound feel alive. They are the difference between a robotic formulaic reproduction and something that feels human. Now let's bring this into the world of voiceover. Your voice isn't just sound. It's an extension of you. It's rich, dynamic, and full of micro-expressions that convey emotion. Analog gear doesn't just capture those nuances. It elevates them. When you run your voice through a high-quality analog preamp or compressor, you're not just amplifying sound. You're adding depth, warmth, and character, and every syllable resonating with life. Now, plugins, on the other hand, try to replicate this. They simulate harmonic saturation, warmth, and compression, but they do it mathematically. And in doing so, they miss the point. The voice isn't a set of predictable patterns. It's chaotic, expressive, and uniquely human. Analog gear interacts with that chaos, embracing it, enhancing it, while plugins smooth it out, sterilizing the very essence that makes your voice compelling. And that brings us to the heart of the matter: connection. In voiceover, your goal isn't just to deliver words. It's to make the listener feel something. Analog gear gives your voice presence and immediacy that pulls people in. It adds kind of an emotional weight, a realism that says, I'm here, and I'm speaking directly to you. Plugins, by contrast, can feel like a wall between you and the listener. The sound might be technically perfect, but it often lacks the warmth, the unpredictability, the humanity. And deep down, the listener feels it. It's subtle, but it's there. Now I get it. Plugins are convenient, they're affordable, portable, and they make high-end processing accessible to anyone with a computer. But convenience always comes at a cost. By relying solely on plugins, you're trading authenticity for efficiency. And in an industry as competitive as voiceover, where your sound is your calling card, you can't afford to sound like everyone else using the same presets and algorithms. Analog gear, on the other hand, gives you a signature. It adds that extra 10%, sometimes even just 1%, that makes your voice stand out. It's an investment, sure, but it's an investment in your sound, your brand, and your ability to connect with your audience on a deeper level. So, what's the takeaway? Plugins are tools, and they have their place, but they're not the end game. They're an approximation, a stand-in for the real thing. Analog is chaos, humanity, and life. It's the warmth in a storyteller's voice, the edge in a character read, the gravity in an announcement. It's not just sound, it's soul. Thanks for tuning in to the Microphone Playboy. What's your take on analog versus plugins? I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. But until next time, stay creative, stay curious, and keep chasing that perfect sound. This is Mark Yoshimoto Nemcoff, fading till black.